Down to Earth with Jim Watson is brought to you by...
Yes, sir. You have to have a male to pollinate the female, but the one male will pollinate as many as 8 females.
And you depend on bees and insects to do the pollination?
Well, you can hand pollinate. If you're not satisfied the bees is going to do it, you can just take the male blooms and touch the female bloom.
And that does the trick?
Yes, sir.
Talking earlier about the conditions of growing a kiwi, they have to have a certain pH for what you'd call good growth.
Yes, sir.
And color. Now, what is that?
You need to keep the pH at 6.5.
6.5.
Yes, sir. That's very critical.
And what is your fertilization program?
My fertilization is a lot of nitrate about every 3 or 4 weeks.
Is that right?
Yeah. I usually put about a ½ pound on them about every 3 weeks.
On each vine?
Yes, sir. If you put too much on it, it can burn them and kill them. But if you don't put enough, then you'll get
streaked leaves?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little minor element trouble there. And I believe your iron is short, but you out here, I notice where your shell road comes in, the pH gets a little bit out of balance and you get this, but you take this vine behind us, I never saw such beautiful, dense foliage that you have. Are you pleased with your operation?
Yes, sir, very well.
And this fruit, how long does it take them to, from time they bloom until they have a fruit that's matured?
Okay, they'll hang on the vine until the first frost. And as soon as they start getting a little soft to the touch, they're ready to pick. Now, the commercial people pick them when it's 8% sugar.
That's what the test is.
Yes, sir. When it tests 8%, you can pick them, and they'll stay under refrigeration for much as 6 months.
Yeah. Now, do you sell locally?
Well, I give away most of them now, but eventually.
You hope to get it into a paying operation.
Yes, sir.
Now, the length of time for an average vine would be, say, they tell me 4 years. Now, you have experience, and you said you got some the second year.
Yes, sir, I did get a few. Just every once in a while, there'd be 3 or 4 kiwi on the vine.
But if you, your preference is any vine that comes from New Zealand will pay off better than some of the locals.
Yes, sir. From my experience, that's the way to go.
How about pruning? Will they intermingle if you don't prune?
Well, yes, sir. You have to prune. You can see they'll get out of hand if you don't prune. You got to build up a good wire system for them to run on, and they got to be pruned, and they bear like a grape. They need to be pruned like a muscadine grape.
Just about the same thing.
Yes, sir.
And the distance apart and everything. Is that right? Or you want to give them just a little more leeway?
Well, you want to give them a little bit more. You don't want to set them no closer than 8 foot
in the
vine
row.
to vine in the row, and no closer than 12 foot apart. You need 16 foot apart if you want to get in there with the tractor.
And this vine here is a producing vine that we have.
Yes, sir. This right here is a producer.
I noticed some of the kiwis here. They're hanging there just like grapes on there, aren't they? Well, that's wonderful. Chief Heller, what would you recommend for a person to buy if they're getting ready to set out a few vines?
I would recommend 3 vines, 2 female and 1 male, and the male planted in between the male planted in between the female.
And you think 1 male take care of those females?
Yes, sir.
Well,
yes,
good.
Sir.
Well, that sounds like being business. And again, I want to thank you for inviting me to come out here. And you and your wife have a beautiful place here, and it's been a privilege to meet you.
Thank you.
Well, I had a real fine enjoyment with them this morning, and they've built a beautiful place down there on Big Talbot Island, on beyond Fort George. Now, this morning I said Fort George, but they left it to be known from Big Talbot. And he whittled him out a place in the wilderness down there and has planted those kiwis. And that caught my eye because a lot of the people and some of the university people say that they won't grow here. But he says that the proof of the pudding is in seeing what he's done with them. He came out and spoke to the extension in the Master Gardener course. He told me that he talked to him, and I talked to one of the members of the Master Garden today, Mr. Art Sheely, and said he enjoyed his presentation very much and very knowledgeable in the field. So it is known fact that you can grow kiwis here. And the proof in the pudding is this is the size of them right now, and he'll be waiting on, as he said, the first frost, and then they'll be ready. But that's much larger than what we get in the stores. And when it's ripe, that's hard. And when they get soft, it'll be about twice that size. So he's producing quality fruit. Also, I brought proof of the pudding. He didn't know it, but I picked 2 of his leaves. I want to show you what large, nice leaves that they have. They're greasy looking and pretty. And this is an example of where the pH gets too high and it holds up the iron in the soil and some of the other elements. And all he has to do is correct it. But he said it was very critical that the pH be at that point. And I have friends that have planted some of the local vines that they have bought, plants from the local nurseries, and they've had them as high as 5 years and no fruit. But I got under one of these that he had cut, and it had a canopy all over it, and I got, it was higher than my head, and I got under there, and I'll have to say that they were hanging in all directions under there, down, and I'm going to go back out and carry my wife and let her see these kiwis. And it was a wonderful experience, and those folks have done a wonderful job, and I'd say that he's specialized in this one kiwi fruit, and he'll make a success of it. He was a long time in the Navy and has worked very hard out there, and they lived out there in a hut, for a little lean-to hut, for about 2 years before they got the house built, and said they had no electricity there, and he had to drive them a well, and they lived kind of Abe Lincoln style there for a long time. But I take my hat off to them, and they have a lovely place now, and he's a fine fella, and I enjoyed every minute with him. Van, my cameraman, also did too. So you can grow kiwis here, and don't let them fool you.